everybody. It is Kathy, and I love to be selling. Come on in, sellers. It is Spring Update 2020, and I have a prop for this. This is my spring hat to welcome the Spring Seller Update for 2020. So come on in, because what I'm going to do is break it all down for you. There's tons of good news. Additionally, there's some goodies that are a little buried. We love eBay, but sometimes they bury the goodies, and you got to look. So come on in. I will introduce myself with my spring bonnet on, and we will get busy taking a look at eBay Spring Seller Update for 2020. So let me know that you can hear me. If you don't know, I'm Kathy Terrell. I'm in New York City. It's actually really nice out today. I got my mail out first thing because I knew the update was coming out. I have been selling on eBay for over 12 years. I'm a top-rated seller. Is the broadcast on? It is on. It is on. So let me know that you can hear me. Because I'm looking at everything. Everything looks good to me. And let me make sure you guys can hear me. That's always fun if I'm broadcasting and you can't hear me. So hang on a second. Let me just double check. And I will make sure everything is fine because it's saying that I'm live. But we know sometimes things can be funky. And we will see how it is going. But yes, I do see you. Yes, it is. And great. Okay, good. Sorry about that. So I've been selling on eBay for over 12 years. I'm a top-rated seller on eBay. I'm trained as an eBay education specialist. There was a delay. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you for letting me know. Hi, Scott. How are you? Good to see you. Waving in from Virginia. So I'm trained as an eBay education specialist. I was selling in retail in New York City, doing merchandising and displays for well over 25 years. So I have a ton of retail experience. And then I sold live on QVC. I was a product presenter for over 6 years. Change in my family circumstances. I needed to be home to take care of my mom here in New York. So I needed to find a home-based business, and I needed to find something with an enormous amount of flexibility. And while I was looking for that, I just started selling odds and ends from around my home because I'm in New York City. And if you don't know, New York City apartments can fill up pretty fast. And what I found from decluttering my home, selling things that I knew had great value, that I loved selling on eBay. So it just grew and grew and grew. I am an eBay sales consultant and social media consultant. I work with sellers of all sizes, from quite small to really, really big. I do manage some accounts for some very large multi-channel sellers. I am on some eBay beta teams. I've had the great privilege to present at times with eBay senior staff. So it is my honor to be with you today and to talk about the eBay Spring Seller Update. This is my spring bonnet. Hey, Leah, how are you? So first thing is, and I'm going to share my screen with you, is go to my website, ilovetobeselling.com. And if you are listening to me by audio, because some people are only going to get audio on this, you want to go over to my website, ilovetobeselling.com. And what you're going to want to do is look for eBay Spring Seller Update 2020, tips to win this scavenger hunt. And if you don't see it displayed right on my site, just hover your mouse over free tips and you can find it in there. You want to grab this and you want to download it. I'm going to be working from this. This is completely free. So just grab the tip sheet, download it. It's got over, I think it's over 15 pages. And what I've done is I've broken down the main points of the Spring Seller Update for you. So go ahead and do that. It's going to help you enormously. There's some great stuff in the Spring Seller Update. Some things are very, very obvious and some things are not so obvious. So that's what we're going to do. So the first thing, if you don't know with Spring Seller Updates, when they come out, there's a lot of different teams that work on them. And this is sometimes why the language can be a little convoluted, is because there's a lot of input on this. You can imagine, I mean, eBay is a very large, multi-billion-dollar global corporation. So it can be a lot of cooks in there stirring the soup. So sometimes that's why sometimes things you read it and you just go, you know, eBay, what are you trying to tell me? So there's a lot of good news. The first thing is they do reiterate or re-emphasize some things that are already live. So don't be confused by that. Devin Wenning actually spoke about this a couple of years ago. Devin, who's the ex-CEO of eBay, which is rather than hold and wait for updates, if there's a tool or an operation or something that is fully functional, oftentimes eBay will start rolling things out before the update. And this, I think, is great news. I think this is really good for sellers, that as soon as the tools are ready, something that's going to help us to sell more, attract more buyers, to start rolling it out right away. Okay. So, and I'm going to take you over to the eBay site. Do I have it up? Yes, I do. Okay, good. So what we're going to do is go over to ebay.com and we're going to go to the spring seller update. I just want to show you where it is. So hang on a second. And here we go, spring seller update. This is it. Is this it? Yes, okay. And you can just Google. If you Google eBay spring seller update, you will land on this page. And these are the main categories for the update: is updates to how we list, updates to how we ship, updates to how we promote, updates to how we service customers, updates to your financials, updates to your user agreement. Now, I am not going to go into every little detail on this, or I would be with you for several hours. I'm going to hit the main points and also what I think are points that are very useful to sellers that you may overlook. So let's take a look at updates to how we list. And again, if you're listening to me by audio, just log into eBay and hop over to the spring seller update. The big thing I want to make you aware of is category changes. When eBay does category changes, and these are going to be coming in May, okay? And the categories that are impacted are business and industrial, watches, home and garden, and sporting goods, okay? So if you are not in any of these categories, obviously these changes aren't going to impact you. But if you are, and home and garden is very, very large category, as is sporting goods, okay? I'm not saying these others aren't, but I'm saying you may have items in these two categories and not realize it. Is when category changes roll out, and this is going to be in May of 2020, is not only, so subcategories often change too. So the main category is sporting goods, and then it has subcategories. So you're going to want to take a look at that and see what happens to the subcategories. You're also going to want to really, really, really keep an eye on the item specifics because they often change. Okay. So that's in how to list. Okay. Then we're going to hop over here to item specifics updates. Item specifics are crucial to your listing. They are the food that drives eBay search and Google search. And if you haven't listened to it, there was a town hall from February 25th. It was on the eBay for Business page. I don't know if eBay recorded it and if they're putting it on their YouTube channel, but if not, it is well worth hopping over to the eBay for Business page on Facebook. I do believe you do have to be US or Canada to view it. So my non-US, hang tight and see if they put it on the YouTube channel. But Harry Temkin, who's the vice president of seller experience, spoke a lot about item specifics, about how incredibly important they are for you appearing well in search in the different search filters. Okay. So there are required, I'm going to pop out of here just for a second, just so you guys understand this. There are required item specifics. I actually went over this with Brian Burke in community. Anytime you are working on a listing and an item specific shows as required, you must fill that item specific in. If you don't, you won't be able to publish your listing. You're going to end up having to save it in draft. Okay. So if you don't know if something's required, you will know, because when you go to publish your listing, you will not be able to publish the listing without that required item specific. I know I ran into this in women's clothing. It wanted me to pick a style for the item before I was allowed to publish it. Now, if you don't know, like I'm going, I really have no idea. Look at the choices they're offering you. So these are the choices that eBay is offering. Of these choices, which is the closest to my item? Okay, and just take a second to take a look at it. If you're not sure, look at completed, look at other sellers' listings, look at their item specifics, because it always shows when you're looking at a listing on eBay, you'll see the picture, the title, and you'll see the item specifics right underneath the price and the shipping. So you can see the other item specifics that other sellers have chosen. So if it is a required item specific and you're having a hard time picking it, just look at other sellers' listings to get an indication on that. Okay. Now, the other thing on item specifics that was brought up is there are now going to be, and you will see this as your listing, because I've been seeing this for several months, suggested item specifics, other item specifics that are there for your listing, but they're not required. You don't have to use them. I'm going to make one up. Country of origin or fabric content. It's not required, but it's there. Clearly, if it's there, even if it's not required, and I can fill it in without guessing, right? Especially something like fabric content, because sometimes people will be checking that because they're allergic to certain fabric content, okay? Or country of manufacture. There might be an item out that's produced. I remember this with blue jeans. Some manufacturers produce in the United States, or let's say in Italy, but they also have a lesser, I don't know if this is the right way to say it, but they have a cheaper version that may be coming out of Mexico or out of Vietnam. So country of manufacture. I remember this with AG jeans, because there were some that were manufactured in Mexico. They're going to go for one price, and then manufactured in another place, they're going to go for another price. Okay. So look at item specifics, and then look at your suggested item specifics, because that's going to help you. Let's get back to, there we go. Back to item specifics. So hang on a second. Yep, no, that's not what I wanted. There we go. Okay. Item specifics, and they have quite a bit on that. Terapeak. So yes, this is great news. So this is good. And this is one that you might float over. So first of all, Terapeak is free to all sellers that have a starter store or higher. Not a starter, basic store or higher. You have Terapeak research in your seller hub. Starter stores, you don't. And in fact, with the way they are expanding Terapeak, take a look at the pricing on starter and basic and really think it through. And if you're ever offered to get a free trial to a basic store, you might want to try it. Or if you're able to test a basic store for 30 days, you might want to try it, because the Terapeak research is expanding. And it really is tremendous how much more information that we are getting. And what they're going to do is they're actually deactivating Terapeak.com as of March 31st, 2020. And a lot of that information is going to be in our seller hub on the Terapeak tab, which is in our seller hub. So keep an eye on for that, because Terapeak has an enormous amount of research. It is definitely worth spending 10 or 15 minutes a week to play around with it and get more expert at using Terapeak. Okay. Volume pricing for non-store owners has been live for a while, and eBay wanted to remind us of it. Volume pricing is a great tool. It's where you can offer a discount if people buy more than one. So take a look at that. If you have a multi-quantity of an item, you do not need to be a store owner to use it. Okay. Now, the photo editing tool. It's telling me the site can't be reached. I love it. Okay. The photo editing tool, see if it does. Nope, it still doesn't like it. Oh, well. The photo editing tool, here we go, learn more. Maybe that's it. Oh, and then it's taking me to photo tips. Okay, so back to that. The photo editing tool, and let me pop out again and chat to you about this. I've been reading a lot about it. Now, I don't list with mobile. Right now, the photo editing tool, which removes the white background, is on iOS only. My best understanding is it's not on Android yet, but it will be. And it's also not on desktop yet. My suspicion is it will be too. And from what I hear, it's really, really good. eBay's been working on this for a while. Is that you upload your picture using your phone. Right now it's just iOS, and that you can tap on it and you can remove the background. So you have a white background. Somebody in my eBay Selling Basics group, I have a free Facebook group for my newer sellers, eBay Selling Basics, said that they used the photo editing tool on an item that had been up for several months with not a lot of interest. They edited the primary picture, the first picture. So they only edited the first picture, which takes maybe 5 seconds with this tool. And they did a white background, and that item sold within 2 days of changing the background. So if you have iOS, if you're able to access this, when you are able to access this, I do encourage you to take advantage of it. And if you're already using a photo editing tool, there are tools out there like Photo Fuse that can white out the background. I use Clipping Magic, which is not a free tool. It's only a few bucks, but I like it. Is clearly eBay is encouraging sellers to have white backgrounds. It is the standard on websites that you will see around the world for e-commerce. It is what Google likes. Google likes a white background or a pale background. I remember hearing a couple years ago from Google when they were at eBay Open. For instance, if you had a white item, like let's say a white hat, a white background may not be the best for that. For something like that, then you'd want to go pale gray. But if you have access to the photo editing tool, I do encourage you to try it and see what you think. Like anything, you want to test it and see what works for you. But eBay does encourage the white backgrounds. And again, certainly you can use it by using a white background, by photographing against a white wall. This is just another tool to help you, and it's free. But right now it is mobile only and iOS only. So we're going to go back and take a look at that. Okay, so photo editing tool, Terapeak. And we go back up. And again, if you're listening to me, I am on the Spring Seller Update site. Then the next thing is shipping. And again, I'm hitting highlights because these are things that you might overlook. So you might overlook the photo editing tool. It really is popular. People are getting good results with it. You might overlook the change to eBay selling categories. Categories are incredibly important. They really do help your item to be properly indexed on eBay. And really keep an eye on your item specifics, the ones that are required, but do not overlook the suggested item specifics. So now we're going to look at shipping and take a look at this. So they're letting you know about eBay International Standard Delivery, which is already rolled out, is a less expensive way to ship internationally. So definitely take a look at that. FedEx home delivery rate is less. That's been true since January. And actually, I've heard a lot of sellers talk about that. So take a look at that. This is the one you might overlook, about new notifications of missing item zip codes. And what you might think is, well, who cares? Like, what's the big deal? Like, why do we care about missing item location zip codes? And I will tell you why you care about missing item location zip codes. It is one of the filters in eBay search. People can filter by item nearest them. It is one of the filters. I would think particularly when you're around holidays, or if somebody's ordering for a birthday, or if somebody's ordering for an anniversary or a special day, if they are concerned about an item getting to them quickly enough, they are going to use the item location filter. And they have to have your zip code to be able to do that. Now, you'll get a warning because I actually manage some accounts. If you hear noise, it's New York City. And I've seen it. I actually saw it on one of my clients' accounts where some of their items were missing a zip code. Now, this was a bigger seller who imports listings through an importer. So obviously what happened was when these listings were imported through the system that he's using, that the zip code dropped off of a couple of the listings. And I just went in and added it, sent him a message and kept an eye out to see if it happened again. So just keep an eye on your account. It's not something to get overly concerned about. But if you do get a warning, and it happens when you log into Seller Hub, it'll be across the top, you have 3 items without a zip code or whatever. Don't blow it because you can say, who cares? You do care because it's a filter that can get you sales. So if you get that warning, pay attention to it, okay? I wanted to make sure you guys are aware of that. So keep an eye on that if you get that warning. And again, if you never get it, yay, then you don't have to worry about it, okay? So that was the international delivery, the zip codes, FedEx, promotions. Now, this is a good one. This is all about send offers to buyer, or what eBay calls seller initiated offer. So there's lower minimum discounts on this. Also, in case you didn't know, the way it's set up now, when you filter in Seller Hub to send seller initiated offers, right now you can only reach up to 10 buyers. eBay's going to be expanding that to 40 buyers, which is tremendous. And then starting in March of 2020, you can counter offers if a buyer sends you a counter, which by the way, they can do now. So when you send an offer out, keep an eye on your messages because you might get a counter back. Now your buyers can go back and forth. I call it the haggle feature. They can go back and forth with you, and keep an eye on it. Because I actually got a message once, from a buyer with a counter, and I missed it because I just was not keeping an eye on my messages. So if you're sending offers out, keep an eye out for if they come back at you with a counter. You'll now be able to send more offers out. You're not just limited to 10. eBay's now letting you to do 40. However, just to let you know, until eBay changes this, is when you send an offer, because sometimes people say, well, it's showing I have, watchers, but then I go to click and I can't send offers. What's going on? One, they need to have opted into marketing emails. And two, you can only send one offer. So if I am watching your item, I'm listening. So Judith, if I'm watching Judith's item and Judith has sent me an offer, this is February of 2020. Let's say she sent me an offer last month. She cannot send me another offer. It's just one offer. So that can happen sometimes. Okay. Okay. So that was that. And send offers to buy. Oh, and that's the other thing. Hang on just a second. Let me come back a second. Is clearly the seller initiated offer or the send offers to buyers is really, really working. I've heard this numerous times from senior staff. It's very, very popular. I know some sellers do very well with it. Other sellers get frustrated because they send the offers out and they're like, but nobody's taking my offer. But clearly it's working, and eBay has a lot of data about how popular it is. So what I would say to you, if you're sending offers out, make sure it's worth their while. It's sort of like running a sale with an eBay store. If it's a 5% off offer, unless it's a very high ticket item, I don't think that's going to nudge most people. You want to look at giving an offer that's 10% off, 15% off, 20% off. You're going to want to make it worth people's while. Okay. So take a look at that if you're not getting good results on seller initiated offer. Okay. So we are going to do customer service. I'm going to mention financials, and then we are done. And don't forget, go to my website, ilovetobeselling.com, download my tip sheet that's going to help you with this, because again, there's a lot of gold in here, but you got to go digging. And you're going to want to download my tip sheet for the Spring Seller Update, Spring Seller Update 2020, tips to win the scavenger hunt. So customer service, there's a lot now that's automated, and it's automated within Seller Hub. So if you're doing refunds, if you're doing returns, a lot of times it can be done now all in Seller Hub by just clicking. You don't need to call into customer service. So take a look at that. It saves you an enormous amount of time. And this is what it looks like. And if you're listening to me, Google the Spring Seller Update, because they have screenshots of what the Seller Hub looks like. Returns and refunds, policies, you need assistance, you want to check status on something. All of this can be done in Seller Hub. Okay. Now, what you do need to be aware of is the different things that are coming up on handling returns and protections against buyers that you blocked, because this has actually come up with people. Okay. So what do I do with when I'm dealing with returns? So first of all, eBay is asking us that we ship with what is called integrated carriers. And this is going to start June 1st, 2020. And they have a PDF. You're going to click this highlighted eBay integrated carriers to make sure that you are shipping with one. Now, because I think this is an area where people can get confused. If you are shipping with the USPS, UPS, DHL, you are shipping with an eBay integrated carrier. This is typically more freight forwarders, more along that line, but regular shipping services like USPS, like UPS are integrated carriers, but it's worth looking at this list. The reason why you want to make sure you are shipping with an integrated carrier is if a buyer buys something and you don't upload tracking on time, this is one of the scavenger hunt things where you really need to pay attention on this. Because I know sometimes there's a system glitch, sometimes people are doing it manually, and they do not upload their tracking on time. This is going to become huge as of June 1st. If a buyer says they bought something and you have not uploaded tracking, you have not given the tracking within 3 business days after a buyer opens an item not received case. So they're saying they didn't get it. You got to click in and you got to upload your tracking. Okay. Is eBay can decide in the favor of the buyer. And it can be done automatically, and you don't want that happening. So make sure you're using integrated carrier, make sure you're uploading your tracking, and if you're printing your labels through eBay shipping, your tracking is uploaded immediately. But just a word of caution, even with your tracking being uploaded immediately, when you have a case open against you for item not received, you'll still need to click through and respond to the case. Don't just ignore it because your tracking was uploaded automatically when you shipped. Always respond to these because you want to take care of the buyer and you want eBay to know that you're alert to your account. Okay. Now, this is an interesting one. Starting April 21st, what's been happening is, and I talk about this in my tip sheet. So it's happened to all of us, I'm sure, if you've been selling for a while. Somebody will buy something. They say they're going to return it. They do the return through eBay shipping. They notify you they're going to return it, and you never get it back, right? It's just you never get the item back. And what happens is eBay closes out the return within 30 days. That's still going to happen. But what eBay is going to do now is if they have sufficient data to see that the person has opened the return and they haven't used the label, they can close out the case earlier than 30 days. But what eBay is going to stop doing, and this is what you got to wake up to. I have never done this, but it turns out quite a few sellers do this, is so sellers have a return opened. They never get the item back. They call eBay before the 30 days. So perhaps they call after 7 days or 10 days, and they ask for the return to be closed out before the 30. eBay customer service has been doing that. They're going to stop. When you call in, you cannot get that done. But what they are going to do is take a look at things automatically and close things out earlier than the 30 days. And this is not a situation where they're returning an item not as described or anything like that. It's just closing out a return. I'm assuming this is finances. That you sell $100 item. You think perhaps the $100 item is coming back. You want to make sure you have that $100 reserved for the item. So really closely take a look at that. If this is something that you run into a lot, take a look at this new policy on changes to handling return requests that appear abandoned. Okay. They're also changing handling on item not as described. Okay. So the eBay money back guarantee right now requires sellers to respond within 3 business days. Okay. Now, business day is Monday through Friday. When a buyer requests to return an item that doesn't match a listing description, so they're claiming it's not as described for whatever reason. If you do not respond, this is why you've got to answer no matter what they're saying. Just say, yes, I'm going to, whatever you want to say, but you must respond. You cannot ignore the message. If you do not respond within 3 business days, when a buyer asks to return an item for an item not as described, okay, this is eBay, we may refund the buyer and seek reimbursement from you without requiring the buyer to ship it back. Okay. So you really need, if there is a big theme from the eBay Spring Seller Update is watch your eBay messages. If you're using seller initiated offer, you want to look to see if the buyer counters with you. Okay. If a buyer claims an item has not arrived, even though you uploaded the tracking through eBay and you used a dedicated carrier, make sure you click in and give them that tracking. Again, this is a minority of cases, but you really want to stay on top of this. If a buyer, for whatever reason, and I do realize that sometimes buyers are really, really demanding, is they're opening an item not as described, saying whatever, you need to respond to at least say, I have received your message and I am thinking it over. I have received my message and I'm reaching out to eBay. Whatever. You need to respond within 3 business days. And again, business days is Monday through Friday. What's great about Spring Seller Update is eBay is continuing to innovate listing optimization tools and things that increase what's called conversion or sell-through rate, which is to help you to sell faster. The white background, why? Because that's attractive to Google. And like my nice seller in eBay Selling Basics, it helps items to convert. Item specifics, why? Because it helps eBay search. It also helps eBay to feed our items to Google. So really watch that. The suggested item specifics, and I talk about it in my guide, they're suggested for a reason. And read my tip sheet, you'll hear all about it, okay? They talk about managed payments is rolling out. Definitely read through that, okay? But the big, big, big thing is pay attention to eBay messages. Really pay attention to the item specific suggested. Mandatory, you can't even list without them. And again, if you hop over to my website, and I'm going to show that to you again, hop over to my website, I love to be selling.com. You want to grab my tip sheet. It is the eBay Seller Update, Spring Seller Update 2020, Tips to Win the Scavenger Hunt 2020. Because again, there is tons of gold in the eBay Seller Update. You just got to know where to bury, where it's buried, where to dig. But it is good, good, good news for sellers. But be alert to your messages, your item specifics are crucial, crucial, crucial in your eBay selling categories, okay? Those are all my tips for you. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Kathy, and I love to be selling. Bye-bye, everybody.